They say that life is a journey, but they forget to mention that death is too. When it comes to our time in the afterlife, none of us really know what to expect. Even if you had the opportunity to speak to your loved ones who have passed on, every individual experience is different, and sometimes even the most careful planning can go awry. For this next Reddit user, their loved one's final moments were spent in a way that no one could have expected. So, when a young man was researching the history of his town for a school project, he stumbled upon an old graveyard. Thinking it would be interesting to learn more about some of the people buried there, he began reading the inscriptions on the gravestones. That's when he came across one that made the blood freeze in his veins. The grave was old and the headstone was worn, but he could make out the date. It was his exact birth date. And then he read the name. It was his full name. But there was one small detail that didn't add up. He was very much alive. In fact, he was standing in front of his own grave. As he looked around, he realized that there were no records of anyone being buried in that graveyard on that day, or anyone with his name even being buried there at all. To make matters even stranger, the cemetery was in perfect condition everywhere except for his grave. That one was in terrible shape, like it had been recently dug up. Was this some kind of sick joke? Had someone tried to bury him alive? And if so, where was he now? Or was he actually dead? Had his body been misplaced after he died? If so, where was his real grave? Afraid to stick around and find out, he ran as fast as he could to his car and drove home without stopping. But once he got there, he noticed something strange. All of his plants had died. They'd been perfectly healthy just days before, but now they were all wilted and dead. Confused, he went inside and looked at the calendar on the wall. It was the same date that he'd seen on the grave. Was this some kind of supernatural phenomenon? Was he cursed? Or was there a more rational explanation? Maybe. Some time passed and the young man eventually found out what was going on. His grave had been dug up by a construction crew working on a new project. But that still didn't explain why his name was on the headstone. As it turned out, the cemetery had been used many years ago for unknown or unclaimed bodies. Whoever ended up in that grave had simply been given his name, and he, whoever he was, had died on the same day that our protagonist was born. Talk about a coincidence.